The 3DS has officially reached the end of life with the announcement that online services for multiplayer will be shut down by the end of April 2024. But that hasn't stopped people from falling in love with the last dedicated handheld from Nintendo. And no, the Nintendo Switch Lite doesn't count. My name is Nick, and this is a companion guide to my series Retronomics, which follows price trends in video games. This video is meant to be a timeless video, so I won't get too much into the detail of the prices, but I will have a separate video that I'll link to the pinned comment down below, so no matter when you see this video, the most recent pricing video will only be a click away. Think of this video as a jumping off point. I'll leave links in the description for you if you want to explore further. The Nintendo 3DS was released in Japan on February 26, 2011 and March 27, 2011 in North America, and it wasn't cheap. It retailed at $250, which led to sluggish sales, forcing Nintendo to drop the price just 6 months later down to $170. The quick shift allowed the 3DS to pivot and become one of Nintendo's most successful handhelds, selling over 75 million units worldwide. But with all those systems out there, it doesn't mean that the Nintendo 3DS is cheap now. The Nintendo 3DS has a big collector's market behind it, and some Nintendo 3DSs can fetch over $500 complete in box. It's even becoming difficult to find a loose system for under $100. The new 3DS XL models are starting to creep up to $200 loose. However, if you do shop locally, you can still find some working ones for less than what eBay is selling them for. You just gotta be patient, and you can't be too picky with the condition. So with that out of the way, let's just get into it. Luckily, there's not much that you need for the basic 3DS experience. The system is self-contained, which is the beauty of handhelds, but you will at least need a charger, which wasn't included with later 3DS models, but one charger is all you need if you decide to get multiple models. The 3DS also came with a stylus, but those are easy to come by, or you can just use your finger or get a cheap one aftermarket. The Nintendo 3DS has onboard storage in the form of a 2 to 4 gigabyte SD card, which can be upgraded to 32 gigs. You will need to transfer data on the new card following Nintendo's instructions, as the data is encrypted and it can't easily be swapped in and out. The 3DS, XL, and 2DS can use micro SD or mini SD cards, and the later models can only use the micro SD card, so plan accordingly. Most micro SD cards come with a mini SD adapter, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. It should be noted that if your 3DS is missing the card, it isn't really necessary nowadays since the eShop is no longer available, but given how inexpensive memory is and that certain games do require the SD card for saves, you might as well just get one to cover all your bases. Oh man, there are a lot of variations. Well, there's only 6 variations and a ton of special editions, making the 3DS one of the most collectible systems. But for variations, you have the original release of the 3DS, the 3DS XL, the 2DS, the new 3DS and XL, and the new 2DS XL. The original 3DS models that were purchased before August 12, 2011 and logged into the Nintendo eShop at least once before that date were considered ambassador systems and were entitled to 20 exclusive virtual console games, and those games weren't offered outside of the program. The difference between the 3DS and the new 3DS is better face tracking for 3D, a little nub that acts as a second joystick for games that support it, and a ZL and ZR button. There are a handful of games exclusively using the new 3DS, but the new 3DS is compatible with the rest of the 3DS and DS games that the regular 3DS supported. Also, the regular sized new 3DS had replaceable faceplates where you can mix and match depending on your taste, which might come in handy if you're looking to save some space and not add a whole bunch of expensive consoles. But some are pretty pricey nowadays. The 2DS doesn't have 3D capability originally released to the younger market, although if you have a 3DS you can turn the 3D off. It's a wedge shape meant to be more durable. They did later release a new 2DS XL, which is a clamshell similar to the new 3DS, and it includes the nub and is compatible with the exclusive new 3DS games. Of course, I'm speaking specifically to the North American region, but in Japan, the XL was called the LL. And if you are planning on importing, the 3DS is region locked, so unless you hack it, you're stuck playing that region's 3DS games. There is one variation that might matter to you, and that's the IPS screen. Most of the 3DS consoles came with a TN display, specifically the original 3DS models and the 2DS and the new 2DS XL. There's nothing particularly wrong with the TN panels, however IPS screens arguably have better colors and subjectively better viewing angles, and the best way to tell if yours has an IPS screen is by powering on the system and tilting the screen to see if you can tell. There are other ways that games display, but other than that there is no external indication like serial numbers or special editions that your system will have an IPS screen. I have one 3DS with the top IPS and bottom TN panel, and that's the Zelda Majora's Mask one, and honestly there are some Majora's Mask systems with both TN panels. But honestly, outside of the viewing angle, you can't really tell after a while when you're playing games. So if it matters to you, great, but I don't think that it's worth the premium if you find somebody who knows what they have. There are 426 physical 3DS games released in the United States, with over 1,000 released digitally. Sadly, the eShop has closed down for good, and any game that required online connectivity will soon be disabled as well, making the 3DS the latest victim of the all-digital future. The Nintendo 3DS is also backwards compatible with most of the DS and DSi games. There are a handful that require the GBA slot, which was only available on the original DS and DS Lite, so getting a new 3DS or 2DS will maximize compatibility. The most expensive complete in-box 3DS game is Barbie Groom and Glam Pups at an eye-watering $3,300 as of the recording of this video, with the guide Louvre right behind it. The guide was exclusively sold at the Louvre, and they don't sell it anymore. But when you filter the systems out, 3DS games aren't actually that expensive. 37 games are over $100 complete in box as of the writing of this video, which is the middle of October 2023. But if you want an up-to-date price forecast and overview, check out my series Retronomics. I'll have a new 3DS price video coming next week. But if you are watching this in the future, the most recent price video will be on the pinned comment down below. I plan to release these every quarter. There aren't a lot of necessary accessories for the 3DS. There's an expansion pad that adds a second circle pad that really only works with a handful of games, but it does make the regular 3DS feel a bit more comfortable if you're an adult with adult hands. The other accessory is the NFC reader, which works for amiibos if you're into that kind of thing, but the new 3DS has that feature built in. And then there's the charging cable, but that's really all of the accessories that I can think of outside of a carrying case and screen protectors and special stylists. Most of the mods for the 3DS are software related and involve putting Homebrew along with the ability to play backups of games that you already own on the 3DS. Most of the internal mods are there if you want to capture gameplay or stream, but if that doesn't matter to you, then hacking your 3DS is fairly straightforward, although there is always that risk that you might break your console or Nintendo might push firmware to break the hack altogether, so when you find a guide online, proceed with caution. Or you can just spend about 30 bucks on one of those flash cards and call it a day. Just make sure that you read up on them to make sure that the system that you have is the right firmware before purchasing the card. While there are 3DS emulators out there, you are missing the experience of 3D, dual screens, and touch if the game requires it. And as of the recording of this video, there aren't any devices that recreate the 3DS experience one-to-one. But if you are willing to compromise, there are some good emulators that will scratch that itch, especially if you are planning on buying a game and want to see how it plays beforehand if you have a 3DS handy. Alright, that's gonna do it for this video on the Nintendo 3DS. I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments down below what you want to see in future videos like this one. If you're new here and you're looking to start buying games, I suggest checking out my series Retronomics. A new 3DS video is coming out right after this one, and the most recent one will be linked in the pinned comment down below. If you like this video, give it a like and share it with those who might find it interesting. And if you really like the channel, consider subscribing for future content. It's the best way to help the channel grow. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at snicktendo. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Nick, and I'll see you next time.